Islam, everybody. Let's get started. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. If we can, let's all rise and face the east with our feet in a 45-degree angle. 2 fingers to the left, 5 to the right, in the cactus pose. And repeat after me. Allah.
Allah.
Father universe.
Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night and by day.
By night and by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Drew Ali.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, I want to announce this meeting is open. I rise and give the highest praise to the Most High, Father God Allah. Honors to the divine prophet Noble Drew Ali for bringing us a divine creed and nationality so that we may learn to love instead of hate. Honors to the forerunner, Marcus Messiah Garvey, for preparing the way for our prophet. Honors to all Adabs, Sheiks, and all faithful Moors that make up to the grand body of the Moorish Divine and National Movement. Honors to the Supreme Grand Sheikh appointed by the Prophet, Brother Emil. Honors to the Supreme Grand Sheikh Emetris, Brother David Bailey Ill. Honors to the current Supreme Grand Sheikh Keith Dandridge Ill. Honors to the Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Brother Jackson Bay, can you read the Constitution and bylaws?
Islam, bro. I rise giving perfect praise to Allah. Honors to the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Honors to my forefathers and foremothers. Honors to the Asiatic nations and the Muslims all over the world. Salvation, Allah, unity. The Moorish Science Temple of America. The Divine Constitution and bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is
join the meeting.
Use falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4, all members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and partial of the government and must live life accordingly. Act 5, this organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865, during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Noble Jew Ali, founder, Moorish American prayer. Allah, the father of the universe, the father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Jew Ali. Amen. The Moorish Science Temple of America, Home Office, Noble Jew Ali, Home Office, Chicago, Illinois, USA. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Sunday.
Islamism, brother, gratitude. Brother Sean Bay, can you read the rest for us?
Islam. Islam. I rise and give thanks and praises to Allah, honors to the Prophet, honors to all you Moors in attendance. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, or in the streets. We offer peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Excuse me. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Jew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Jew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This is the instruction. This is the instruction from your prophet Noble Jew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on. But the weak can comprehend it now. We cannot comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, Noble Jew Ali. And that's why many hearts have been turned to stone, and many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, the divine prophet, Noble Jew Ali. So, to be proclaimed at every meeting, Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors amongst you all. and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend on for their earthly salvation as American citizens. They are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds, the ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. And it all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Islam, Islamism.
Islamism. Gratitude, more gratitude. Sunday class tonight will be questionnaire questions 41 through 50. And Islam, if a sister, see, the one sister wanted to read, whenever you are ready.
Islam. 41. What is the everlasting gospel? It is a saving power that comes from Allah through our ancient fathers by his prophet. 42. What is the covenant of the great God of Allah? Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earthland, which the Lord thy God, Allah, hath given thee. 43. At what age did Jesus begin to teach? At the age of 12. 44. Where did he teach? India, Africa, and Europe. 45. How long did he teach? 18 years. 46. What did Jesus say that will make you free? Truth. 47. What is truth? Truth is Allah. 48. What is Allah? Allah is Allah. 49. Can truth change? Truth cannot change or pass away. 50. What other name do we give to truth? Holy breath.
Islam.
Islam.
Thank you,
Islam,
sister. Thank you, sister. Now let's break this down. Let's go to 41. What is the everlasting gospel? It is the saving power that comes from Allah through our ancient fathers by his prophet. Now, does anybody want to demonstrate 41? Islam.
Islam. First and foremost, I'd like to rise and give perfect praise to our Father God Allah. I'd like to rise and give honors to his prophet Noble Drew Ali. And I'd like to give honors to all you Moors in attendance. I just want to talk about the everlasting gospel, because the everlasting gospel is our saving power. This is the true understanding and the science that is in all of our rules, our laws, and our literature that helps us to be who we are and uplift our nation. Without the everlasting gospel, without this saving power, we are still Negroes. Islam.
Islam.
Islam
and
is
Islam, what, brother?
now I was just going camelback with Sister Sheik. It's like, yo, she's definitely right. And also to add to that, Truth is the saving power, right? Because without the truth of who we are, we would be Negroes. And that's what the prophet, that's why Noble Drew Ali is the prophet, you know, for our community, our ummah, you feel me? Because he brought the, you know, he brought the same thing that Prophet Muhammad brought, that Prophet Jesus brought, Moses, Abraham, Buddha, it doesn't matter, right? Like all prophets the same and we honor them. But like, yeah, like that's what it is, the truth of who we are, Islam.
Islam, brother. And also, as far as what exactly does the everlasting gospel save us from? It saves us from ignorance, laziness, drug addiction, alcoholism, self-hatred, conceit, greed, selfishness, envy, vanity, fear, indifference, hypocrisy, hopelessness, misery, failure, ruin, disbelief, and etc. So just by reading that, it knows that that's all the Lord self, Islam.
Islam. Praise Allah. I want to come back on what Jackson Bates said and bring in the word gospel. And a lot of people kind of misconstrue that word and might translate it into Christianity, but it's more so, I looked up the etymology and it said glad tidings announced by Jesus, one of the four gospels. Good spell, good, you know, anything that's good. And it says rewarding for bringing good news. And that's our priesthood is our job, or our everlasting gospel, our saving power to manifest what we're supposed to get out of, which is slavery, Islam.
Islam. And that good news, as missionaries, we're supposed to deliver the good news to our people. Islam, that's the part of uplifting fallen humanity. Praise Allah for that. Islam.
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 Great demonstration.
Islam. This is Morel. First of all, rise and give all praises to Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Honors to the Prophet. Honors to you all here on this call. We're here representing Temple 21, Dallas, Texas.
Islam.
And my husband as well, Louis L. I just wanted to add a little bit on my understanding of everlasting gospel. Just wanting to point out everlasting. I see this word, I think of infinite. I think of truth, because in our keys, we see that truth does not change. And this gospel is, to me, truth. And the everlasting gospel is that infinite wisdom. And this includes our principles, you know, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And these principles is the saving power that comes from Allah and was given to us by our prophet, Islam.
Man. I'm going to camel back on that and say the way that we are able to repair ourselves is through this saving power.
Islam.
This saving power is that comes from our forefathers, because we are our ancestors,
Islam.
as our forefathers were. So when we come in line with obedience and we make this practical in our lives, the saving presence is practical, which means that you live this life through your demonstration. You're not going to go, like I hear a lot of Christians, and I have nothing against Christians or anybody else, but it's like, oh, I'm bringing you the gospel. Well, Moorish Americans, we live the gospel. So as we move and we demonstrate these principles in our lives, in our practicality of it, it resonates on a higher frequency that draws people to you. And this, in essence, is the way you uplift fallen humanity.
Islam. Peace.
Islam, bro. So that was great demonstration on that. And that's what we get. I mean, the holy breath. That's exactly right. And sister, when she said that, when she said the everlasting, she thought of infinite. Infinite is Allah, finite, is lowest up and will pass. So that was great demonstration, brothers and sisters. And thanks for joining in. Let's go to number 42. What is the covenant of the great God Allah? Honor thy mother and thy father, that thy days upon the earth land, which the Lord thy Allah hath given thee. So it's even saying there what brother was saying, as far as we are our ancestors, and we need to honor our ancestors to go back into ourselves in order to find our higher self. Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam, I had looked this up because I knew it was in the Bible, and it's Exodus 20:12, and it seems like it's one of the 10 commandments or whatever. So I was like, it's just like, why would the prophet, introduce that or whatever? As far as that's and it's just drawing us back to our ancient ways of, they was in Canaan when they got that language, when they got not that language, they got that law. They was out of Egypt. So understanding that that's our ancient Asiatic, because the Asiatics come from Canaan, just like the Moabites. You feel me? So just drawing similarities and understand that what it says to me when I read it and understand, like, they was out of Egypt in Canaan, or about to enter Canaan. The prophet Moses at the time gave them some Asiatic customs, so I could be like, that's how I drew on it. Maybe somebody else could build on that.
Islam, if I may share. First I rise, give honors to Allah, honors to his prophet, honors to all the Moors on the call, honors to everything Moorish. I thank everybody, gratitude to everyone for sharing and demonstrating. Just when I look at that, what honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earthland, which the Lord thy God Allah hath given thee. Right off bat, that lets us know that just by proclaiming our nationality, connecting with who we truly are, that guarantees our salvation. I wanted to show you something. This is from a book called Lincoln's Philosophy, Common Sense. So it's a 3-volume set, whole bunch of pages. But in here, it's talking about the case with Justice Taney and this dissenting opinion on it. Justice Taney's the one who ruled on Dred Scott, where he's basically saying Negroes cannot be citizens. And then Justice Taney was another Supreme Court justice who basically said, oh no, that's wrong. I can't let that fly. What you're saying is wrong. I wanted to tell you why us honoring our forefathers and foremothers is our salvation. It guarantees it. So just going into here, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but Justice Taney basically is saying why the decision that the other Chief Justice had made about Dred Scott was wrong. Okay. It's just Judge Curtis. He was arguing Justice Taney. And it says here, in his dissenting opinion, he shows that in 5 of the 13 states, then it says to wit, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, and North Carolina. What does it say here? Free Moors were voters, and in proportion to their numbers, had the same part in making the Constitution that the white people had. He shows this with so much particularity as to leave no doubt of this truth, and as a sort of conclusion on the point, holds the following language. And then I can't read this here. I just see that he says something about Moorish persons were among those qualified by law to act on the subject. These Moorish persons were not only included in the body of the people of the United States, by whom, and I can't really make out the rest. And it's hard to get these books, by the way. This book, like this 3-volume set, is rare. It's out of print, really hard to get. But in that dissenting opinion on the Dred Scott case, where the other judge, Judge Taney, saying Negroes aren't citizens, Judge Curtis comes in and lets the cat out the bag, say, oh no, Moors were not only were they voters, they had a part in making the Constitution. They're part of the we the people of the United States. Okay? And so just in being who we are, reconnecting to our forefathers and foremothers, we're guaranteed. Our salvation is guaranteed. And so this is why the prophet, you know, what he says about the 13th and 14th, 15th amendments. This is why he says what he says. This is why it is actually that simple. We just have to come together as a collective. It might sound hard to believe for some, but it's really that simple. And so by honoring our fathers and our mothers, our days may be long upon the earthland, long and prosperous. Okay, so I yield the floor on that note. Islam.
Islam, Sheikh is Douglas. You had your hand up.
Islam, beautiful demonstration, Brother Douglas L. I just wanted to add that we have to remember our covenant is with our Father God Allah. And by going back to our old time religion, which is Islamism, we are reconnecting to the source, to our ancient people, so that we can be able to undo what was done to us. And these labels and classes and, you know, inferiorities, all the stuff that was placed upon us because we didn't remember, we didn't realize that we come from an ancient people and we did not start as slavery. And we are not that Negro, we are not that beast, we're not that Black person. We are Muslims, Moorish American Muslims. Islam.
Islam, sister. Islam. Morel again. Going off of that, absolutely. This reminds me of the reparations in which we often hear people speak of. The reparation, the root word of that is repair. And this is the repairing that is necessary for us. And it starts with our minds, that mental slavery aspect. And by us being brought back to our ancient way of life, Islamism, the practice of peace. This is how we honor thy father and thy mother. Our days are long because we have that infinite wisdom we were just speaking about. We have that now, so we are able to self-govern ourselves. This is how I understand this key here. This is how our days are longer, because we're back in our rightful understanding and way of life, and you know, we're understanding our divine nature. Islam.
We're back in our proper standing.
Islam.
And this way, our children can grow up unmolested, and they can live as we live, and their days will be lengthened because our days have become lengthened due to the obedience. Islam
Obedience to this holy covenant.
The holy covenant.
Islam, praise Allah, gratitude, beautiful demonstration. I just want to add, like, we do know that there are 7 days in creation, Islam. So when we say our days will be longer or lengthened upon this earth plane, I think of, you know, the 7 days of creation. I think that we are recreating ourselves. Islam.
Islamism.
Let's go to 43 and examine this one. At what age did Jesus begin to teach? At the age 12. And I just only wanted to tap on just 12 is used a lot in our calendars. 12 is used a lot in cycles. So for Jesus started at the age of 12. Islam, I'll open the floor on that one to build on.
Islam, if I may, I want to start off by saying 12 represents the spiritual fulfillment. And that's why our brother Jesus is so important, because he showed us, he was a perfect example of reaching that spiritual fulfillment and using the knowledge of self and using these keys to become Christ. And the brother did say, ye are gods, letting us know that we can accomplish what he has done as well. Islam. And like you said, brother, the number 12, you know, we have the 12-step ladder. We have, you know, the 12 entrances to the Great Pyramid of Giza. You know, that's that 12, that spiritual fulfillment. it's vibrating on different levels. And when we are able to tap in through our consciousness, we can access that Akashic record. Islam.
Islam. I have a perspective on the number 12 and the age, because the age of 12, you finally so-called start, I guess, smelling yourself, in other words. So 12 years old, he probably had, he was in that time, of course, he had some people that were teaching him, I guess, just his masters or his teachers or what have you that he came up with. And that kind of just shows like the characteristics that you build off of building your chakras levels, so to speak, Islam, and the chart, Islam.
Islam. Oh, my bad.
No, brother, go ahead. I was just extending my Islam to the brother for his demonstration.
Islamism. I was just gonna say 12 reminds me exactly. I go straight to the 12 ladder, the 12 step ladder, the 12 maxims of truth. Like, and just by at the age of 12, he began teaching because he mastered the 12 step ladders. And when we see him, when he goes in the Quran, when he goes with Prince Ravana, he's coming down the 12 step ladder, right? Already going all the way to the top, mastering religion, right? And starting in obedience, the foothold. That's where it all starts, with being obedient to Allah, the oneness of Allah, right? So that's how when I see this, I'm like, oh, okay. And then 4 + 3, that's a 7, broken seal, right? So it's all symbolical. And then to add to this, I always, the story of John when his mother died at the age 12, right? It was a spiritual completion and a death, because I would just, maybe when you do begin to teach, your lower self, you feel me, dies. You feel me? Not calling John's mother the lower self, but maybe an aspect. Maybe you could look at it like that, because when he begins his teaching at the age 12 too, after his mother died. So just that, it's just throwing that out there, Islam.
Islam, this is Morel. I have a quick question. And recognizing that Jesus' mother, Mary, was divinely prepared to bring about or bring forth Jesus, or guide him and raise him. And due to this preparation, or her being divinely prepared, Jesus was, speaking amongst the doctors, the lawyers. He was teaching and challenging things as a young boy, before 12. And so just quick question or thought, why in our keys does it say he began to teach at 12?
Says I would say, because it says he was about 12, so I would say 11 and a half when he was arguing with the doctors of the law. I think when he was arguing with not arguing, but disputing with the doctors of law, he was probably exercising and starting to master religion, because he was in the doctors of the law. When we think about what they call the Hebrew culture, which, one of our forefathers, they always dealt with law. You feel me? It's always about the law. So he's exercising and, trying to master religion when he's spending 2-3 days away from his mother. Islam. That's I don't know, maybe somebody else could further build on that, but that's what I guess.
Islam.
Peace. Yeah, I was. That's why I was mentioning the age and the time that Jesus was doing what he was doing in his teachings. Hold on. Islam. Excuse me for that, but that's why I was questioning. What's the significance behind his teachings at the age of 12 and that age of time, or that time. Peace.
Islam. I wanted to know, how would you tie in for the age of 12 when they say like you are responsible for your actions, like your lower self and your higher self at the age of 12.
Islam,
Help
sis,
me to.
can you repeat your question, sister?
Islam, can you hear me?
Islam.
Okay. I was asking about the age of 12. Is a reference to that age where they say that you're responsible for your higher self and your lower self at that age. And I was wondering if you all could help me to tie that in for the age being where you are, responsible for your actions and what you do. You know better, if you're doing something right or doing something wrong. There's always a reference made to that. So I was just asking if
Islam, sister, your phone was faded in and out. If I may demonstrate, I would say at the age 12, usually even by law standards, like you're adolescent. So it's like an adult in their lessons. So that's when you walk in that path until you are an adult after 18. So 12 may be symbolic to that as well. Islam, just shed a little bit on it on the bill. And Ross Davis, Islam.
Peace. I just wanted to add that we have to keep in mind too that means Jesus spent 11 years studying under Mary and Joseph. Mary was also educated in the groves. We learned that earlier in the, not earlier, but in the circle 7. And then also too, when Jesus disputed with the doctors of law, he already knew then about the workshop of the mind. So he was already quite advanced, under sub 12 years of age. And then also too, around the age of 12, is usually when like a young boy, I'll go with the young man. He starts to pull away from his mom's ideas and starts to formulate his own ideas of the world. So that's a significance as well. It may not be exactly 12 for everybody, but around that, at least for sure, around the age of puberty, you're able to start thinking, or you're willing to start making more of your own decision, try to take more risk and things of that nature. And then with the 12 again, I think I want to reference as well to like a complete cycle with the zodiac as well. Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam, brother, that was spot on. I see a hand up. James Lewis L.
Islam, Smorel, gratitude on that demonstration with the zodiacal as well as the adult lessons. That's real deep. That helps with understanding. I just wanted to add that going off of that, and gratitude for this demonstration that you have up here with the numbers in accordance to the zodiacs and
the age
and the 12-step ladder.
12-step ladder, yeah.
And I'm losing my thought. I'm losing my thought process. Pardon, body. But the sister was asking the significance of 12, and I was thinking, when the brother was saying at the age of 12, when Jesus would have mastered these 12 steps to this ladder and then began to teach. And to me that makes sense. So just gratitude on that. Islam.
Islam, praise Allah. If I may add, I was thinking about how we measure time through the cycle ages. So just like we have the 12-month calendar, and every month we have the 12 zodiac. So every year we go through that cycle. So it keeps repeating itself. So Jesus, being in the age of the Piscean age, it was his time to become that prophet. And then, now we are just coming into the Aquarian age, and the prophet in these last days of time is our prophet Noble Drew Ali. So with every age, every cycle comes a new prophet, a new messenger to deliver this everlasting gospel to the people who has lost their way, Islam. And we can see it as a physical, but we also have to take the spiritual and create that balance based on all the knowledge and science through the literatures and through the laws and everything that our prophet brought to us, so that we can put together these puzzle pieces so that we can create the full picture. Islam.
Islam. Islam. I had to build on that. I'm at chapter 13, or I'm sorry, 23. Holy instructions for thy children. Because we're on the subject of children and being at the age of 12, so on and so forth. It says, consider thou art a parent, the importance of thy trust, the being thou hast produced, it is thy duty to support. Upon thee also it dependeth whether the child of thy bosom be a blessing or a curse to thyself, and useful or worthless member to the community. Prepare him early with instruction and season his mind with the maxims of truth. So, have that being said, that goes to show, once you're able to climb that 12-step ladder, then 12 maxims, you're able to become of an importance to your own livelihood and your nation, Islam, and your higher self. Praise Allah.
Islam. Let's go to, if anybody after 12, let's go to 44, because 44 actually introduced a little bit more of the 12 years, a little more in depth. Prophet had prepared it right. Where did he teach? He taught in India, Africa, and Europe. So he was all around those areas teaching. So I'm gonna yield the floor on that one and see what we can build on that.
Islam. I real quick, I don't got much to build, but I just look at this. It's the fact of the matter, but I try to go for the deeper symbology of it, right? And India, Africa, Europe. I know Europe's in the north, and north, the etymology means bottom. So north would be the lower self, right? But I'm thinking like mind, body, soul, mind, body, soul, spirit. India, he got the higher teachings. Africa, that's like the middle ground where he taught, and in like Europe, like not where he taught, but just the three cells, like like the high. You get what I'm saying? But probably somebody else could build better on that. But that's how I look at India, the high, Africa, the middle, Europe, the bottom, as far as breaking the cells up. You should,
Islam, if I may add, at that time there was no India. Islam. India was like Hindustan or Palestine. Islam.
it's uh,
Islam. I think the phone's breaking up.
Islam. My phone was acting up. Yeah, that's the only. Yeah. Hindustan. I would say like, well, if we break it down, we go back to Hindustan, the teachings of the Hindus, and remember, if we look at it right, okay, India, when he was in the temple with the Hindus, okay, and he had to talk to he schooled the Hindu about evolution and how man is never beast, right? So that's the higher principle. That's like the cranium, I would say, right? well, that's one teaching basically on the soul left spirit, the soul on the soul plane, right? Then Africa, that's the Egyptian school of that was the Egyptian school where he got initiated down in I forgot, man, I gotta get the Koran out. But like he went in these 3 temples, because then he went in the temple of Greece, and he was in the secret brotherhood in Greece. So Greece is Europe, Africa would be the Egyptian school, and the Egyptian school where he had got initiated when he was 5 and 20 years old, and then India probably is where he started. Is exactly where he started, since he started his knowledge in India at the age of 12. Then at the age of 25, he was in Africa in the Egyptian schools, and then Europe, he was in the Greek schools. And remember, it's a chapter where he taught amongst the Gentiles. So this is the 3 places he had taught and got initiated or got knowledge from. That's what I'm trying to correlate to a deeper meaning. Maybe somebody else could go Islam.
Islam, I kind of see where you're going with this, brother, because while you were speaking, like I have a good imagination. I'm kind of seeing the kind of like I don't want to say descend, but he started up, in what we call today India. That's where he was explaining, the spiritual meaning of life. I remember like what you were saying, and then he went to Africa, went through the temples, and then when he went to Europe, that's where he was sacrificed, Islam. So like that's heavy science all in itself. Islam.
Islam, the camel back to keep it going. Yeah, definitely. And then you could, like, Europe is where the body got sacrificed, but the soul's immortal, right? So like, yeah, but then he learned the immortality of the soul by going through the Egyptian school, right? That's in Africa. So he already know about death, you feel me? And then, but he already knew the highest spirit. He knew the higher self and lower self intrinsically in India when he learned and he got praised in the temple, right? So first he got spiritual knowledge of his spirit intrinsically and intimately. Then he goes to Africa and learns how to die and learn that the soul's immortal. And then he tested it out in Europe. You know what I mean? We could look at it like that, like going forward. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, it's just, you gotta look at it and just look at the circle 7, it gets deep. You feel what I'm saying? And then 8, like 8, 4 plus 4 is 8, right? So that's the loop, right? That's the like
Islam, yes.
infinity. You feel me? Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's intrinsic. You feel me? You just gotta look at it and just think about what the Prophet prepared for us.
Islam, I see it. And just like what we've been through as a people, how when we proclaim, when we go back to the ways of ancient forefathers, the first thing we learn to do is meditate, right? Is listen to Allah. Islam through meditation, and then what we learn about our chakras, and then we connect them to the Elohim, and you feel me, and then what we have to deal with, we have to deal with the European, and what they did. So that's why the Prophet taught us to love instead of hate, so that we could take these lessons and make it right. Because if we seek revenge, we will continue this cycle, Islam. But when we learn to love instead of hate, they just gonna fade to the background while we rise up to our 12, Islam.
Islam, sister, that's spot on.
Islam, Mr. Lewis L. That's a beautiful demonstration, sister. I visualizing that as well, learning about the meditation and the chakras, and thinking in terms of understanding coming from your crown chakra and vibrating down through the experiences and having to unfold into perfection at your lower chakra, defeating and conquering. That's a beautiful demonstration. Gratitude for that, sister.
Islam, gratitude, brother. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. Let's go to number 45 and see what our take is on the build on that the Prophet provided for us. How long did he teach? Jesus taught 18 years. That would make him around 30 when the full completion on after teaching. Islam, does anybody want to build a take on that, on their take on how long did he teach? And it was for 18 years that he taught.
Islam.
It's not.
Islam, we do know when we do numerology, 8 and 1 equals and 9 gives us completion. Islam. So I see that as he had acquired all the knowledge that he set out to gain. Islam.
Islam.
Wanted to build off of that. Now that we're speaking in chronology, timeline, I believe 18 or 30. Excuse me. Hold on. I believe the numbers are significant based off of the amount of time it takes to achieve the knowledge or the maxims. And maybe the age of 12 is when he started teaching. So yes, of course, it'll add up to 30, but the timeline that it took, the specific timeline it took, 18 years, is like it seems like it's a structured time, not a restricted time, but like a structured time enough for you to gain some knowledge.
Islam. And the prophet even let us know in the keys, because when you add 4 and 5 together, that's 9. So it's divine Islam.
Islam.
Okay, Islam. I had a couple of hands up. We had James Lewis L. and Ross Davis. Islam.
Islam. When I think of the age of 30, that brings me back in the numerology to the number of 3, because when you break that that 12 down as 3 as well, that takes me to wisdom, will, and love. And that takes me to purpose. So Allah created himself to see himself in that perfection. And that is what we aspire as Moorish Americans, to become perfected and to ascend back into Allah. So when I think of the number 30, I think of the number 3. When I think of the number 12, I think of the number 3. When it's broken down, the number 3, wisdom, will, and love, triune Allah, Islam.
Islam, brother, that was a great demonstration. We have Brother Ross Davis L. Islam.
Yeah, this makes me have a question. I thought Jesus died at 33. So what did he do for 3 years?
Islam, that is a great question. Anybody want to build on that one? And Jackson Bay, Sister Kobe said he was with the disciples for those 3 years. And I see a hand up with Brother Jackson Bay. Islam.
Islam, Davis L, you brought something up, right? That, you know what I think he taught on the spiritual plane, because how I was going for them 3 years, right? And like she said, Sister Cole Bay said, he was with the disciples, right? You know, so that could be the missing years or whatever, right? But because remember, we just dealing with the missing years, not the known years. You know what I mean? We dealing with the missing. So yeah, he could have been with the disciples. And then at the last chapter, that's what we get or whatever. But I was gonna say, to build off what Sister Douglas L said, you know, the 4 + 9 equals 4 plus 5 equals 9, but then also 9 plus 9 equals 18, right? And then 18, 1 plus 9 equals 1 plus 8 equals 9, right? So because of the 18, maybe we have to look at completion not only of the lower self, but completion of the higher self. Because when we look in the Quran, he said Jesus, when he was in the plane of soul, he taught and opened the jails. So, maybe that the time that we spend on the soul plane isn't measured by the same way we look at time on the regular plane, on the plane of manifest, right? So that's what I was thinking. Maybe the 18 also symbolic of 9 completion of the lower self or the plane of manifest, and then completion also on the plane of soul. So Islam.
Praise Allah, Islam. I love this demonstration. I love that everyone is exercising a 5 because this is that spiritual exercise that we don't get to have outside of these ciphers. And I just want to say gratitude and praise Allah for everybody who's contributing. If I may go back to that number 3, okay, because brother made me realize, that's that third eye, that that vibration, that ashna, and it means light. And we go back to Jesus and the spiritual fulfillment. That is how we are kind of going back to that light, because we was in this darkness for so long before we got these keys, before we got this measure, before we got this science of self, before we found the prophet. We was all in darkness, and now we returning back to the light with this, this beautiful science. And I'm just grateful and I'm humble to be able to be in these meetings with you Muslims, Islam.
Peace. Okay, to go off my last question and your response. So does that mean then that the stories we're told of Jesus in the Bible only consist of 3 years?
Islam, brother, can you repeat that? Did you say the story in the Bible only exists in 3 years?
No, consists of 3 years. Like the stories that we're told of Jesus is only 3 years, and then the rest we just was kind of like found out
in the darkness.
Or,
I think maybe the prophet, I don't know, bro, the way we could think about it, right? Because ain't no right way, right, until it's right. You feel me? Like the way we could think of it is like prophet said, this is the genealogy of Jesus, what he given to us, right? So it's only the 18 missing years of Jesus. You feel what I'm saying? So, the prophet probably was trying to word it the way where he wouldn't cause any confusion with the scriptures, because in Islam we're supposed to honor the scriptures. You feel what I'm saying? When we read the Quran, we're supposed to honor the Torah and the scriptures. So basically the Bible, right? And all religious texts. So probably he's just like, maybe it is 3 years, but I don't want to say that because then you got the birth of Jesus, that timeline. But maybe and then we get the stories that adds up to the 30 years, and then he starts because most of the stories when we look to Mark, right, it kind of start with the baptizing of John, when he baptized John, and then it's not that many years he's walking around, if we think about it. But I'm not 100% sure. You feel what I'm saying? We just trying to speculate and bring it to oneness so we can understand and build upon. You feel me?
Is Islam. Sister Cole Bay have brung up what are we even with the number 18, the 18 scrolls during the 3 years. And then with the number 12 breaking down to 3, and also breaking the numbers up from the 6 and the 3 places Jesus traveled while he was doing his teaching for 6 years. It's like, that's pretty heavy as well. So during those 3 years, he maybe with the 18 scrolls that I guess that are hidden, or not hidden really, but can't really find the true scrolls, Islam. And I have two hands. We have let's go with James L. Wise L and Shaw Bay next, Islam.
Islam. This is Lewis L. And the number 6 represents man. So when you take the 33, you're speaking in terms of the Bible and the symbology of it. The Bible is a book of nature for us to understand on a natural level as we grow and obtain the light and find out the true essence of who we are, because we are from the essence, the primordial essence of Allah. So with that being said, Jesus becoming perfected with the 7 representing the number 7, the logo circle 7, but going through the process of unfolding at the age 33, the number 6 represents man, and that man going through the experiences of life unfolding to become perfected. Islam.
Islam, that was a beautiful demonstration. That was Holy Breath, brother Islam.
Islam, that was beautiful. I want to read something real quick from Holy Quran. Divinely prepared by the noble prophet. It says, and Jesus said, my brother, your thoughts are wrong. Your heaven is not far away, and it is not a place of metes and bounds. It is not a country to be reached. It is a state of mind. That is from the Divine Instructions, chapter 12. Jesus teaches the common people at a spring, tells them how to obtain eternal happiness. And I believe that is what the scroll, so to speak, is insinuated to be, because he's telling us that, we're all trying to find perfect happiness, and we're always trying to, perfect ourselves. And it's a state of mind when it comes to that. That's my first point. Second point is from some knowledge I got from some brothers in the ISF Law and Master perspective. The and symbol, the 6-pointed star of David, so to speak, and previously used on the Moorish American flag, or the Moorish Moroccan flag. It says the 6-pointed star of the Moorish nation is referred to as the Jewish Star of David, and let it ever remind you that the divine Trinity is reflected within you, matter, and that, or the higher and lower self, and that the lower triangle must be lifted up until it balances the upper and forms the star, or 6-pointed star, your chakra line. And the symbol, I read that because the symbol is similar to some of the mantras that I've seen in the Hindu practices that I actually started. I used to practice like Hinduism and just learning about it, exploring the culture, so on and so forth. And it all ties back to Egypt. And it's just divine how the prophet just laid out that information. And if anybody wants to build off of that, I yield the floor. Praise the Lord.
Great demonstration, brother. I have Sheikh Douglas L, and I have Davis L. Islam.
Gratitude, everyone. To add to or build on what Brother Davis L was saying, we had the missing years for Jesus' life in the Bible, and we could look at it like this: that the Council of Nicaea met. For those that don't know, these are European leaders coming together to decide which books, which scrolls will go into what will become their holy book, as they're deciding to adopt Christianity so that they can join the family of nations. And they're leaving books out. They're putting in what they see fit, what will fit into the narrative that they want. So we could look at it like that and say that Well, you know what? They left these years out of Jesus' life. They left these secrets out because they wanted to hold the people back. But the prophet let us know that these keys were held in India, right? In Egypt, and that they were held back until the time was right. And when the time was right, they started to release it to the world. And that's why you had Prophet Noble Drew Ali getting this information. You even had Europeans. You had Aleister Crowley. You had Rudolf Hess. You had several people who were going into Egypt, actually going into Egypt and then coming out with these lessons and keys. All right, all types of people. So it was a universal message. And it was time for this information to get out. You had a whole new thought movement that grew out of a form of Christianity that was looking deeper into things, that grew out of this type of information. And so when the time was right, this information started to come out. And so I look at it from that perspective, where it's not really concerned about Jesus as in being a person, his life. I'm just looking at the symbolism. As a brother Lewis L. said, I'm looking at the aspect of how this applies to all of us universally. Jesus teaching at the age of 12, as the brother Jackson Bay said, that's showing mastery of the 12-step ladder. We know that each virtue that we attain, we further subdue the lower self. So him teaching at the age of 12, that's, to me, that's just showing mastery over the lower self. And then, you know, the fast forwarding of the 18 years, you could look at that as 18 being 9 being completion. But with him being crucified, you know, that 3 years that's actually in the Bible, the 30 to 33, where he's teaching and going around and then eventually being crucified, he gets crucified, he ascends back to his Father God Allah. What do we know about the 6th day? On the 6th day, our holy day, is because that's when the first man was formed in the flesh. And on the Friday, the first man departed out of the flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. We also know that the 6th day, looking at the Kabbalah tree of life, we know that that 6th spear, that 6th day, that's actually where man is when you're looking at it from a spiritual perspective, right? Looking at the different realms, the different realms of life. We see that man is in that 6th day, and that's symbolic of the whole 33. That's what you get, you know, to me. So I'm just looking at it from a spiritual perspective. Could be wrong, but that's my take on it. Islam. I yield the floor.
Islam, I got a question. Based off of these conversations, like, could all of this that is being spoken about Jesus, even to the crucifixion, could it all be just symbolic, or is it more so terminology, or is it just like the actual walk and path of Jesus, or is it that we have to go through certain chambers of self to achieve the higher self?
Islam. I don't mean to skip in front of Brother David Sell, but just to seeing how we have several Christ figures throughout history. Brother Krishna was another Christ figure, had a similar story. Osiris, and on and on and on. This could be a pattern that's just, you know, symbolic, something that we all go through this spiritual transformation, right? So I wouldn't even be concerned so much with the actual people who could have existed physically. It's just something that is a universal message that can be applied to all of us. And so I look at the deeper message and try to understand that. Islam.
Islam.
Islam. I see David Sale. Islam.
Peace. Does the temple teach on the secret brotherhood of the East?
Islam. From the perspective of our Quran and what we have, from my understanding, by proclaiming, by joining the temple, you are entering into the brotherhood, the sisterhood. and you are coming in back into you're being initiated back into it. That's what this whole process is. Even with more science, the unlearning of Western thought and all of these things, and coming back into it, because when you really look at more science, I'm not talking about our religion, which is Islamism, but when you look at more science is a discipline, it's a philosophy, like it's a way of looking at life, and it's something that that actually, as kind of like Brother Kobe hit on this earlier, it's something that it begins to change your mindset or the way that you see life, and it removes mental slavery from your mind, right? So, you know, it's not a religion, it's a religion, it's actually a scientific discipline. It's a way, it's like a philosophy, a way of looking at life. And so as you come into this, you're getting initiated into the sacred brotherhood. And then there's, of course, there's also, I guess you could say there's levels to this as well, depending on how far you want to go with it, right? Like there's the 8-up chamber and things for people who can demonstrate that they're not slaves to sin. And then there's even levels to that, where you could go even further with your understanding if you choose to. All right, but yeah, I would say yes, because you're being initiated into the sacred brotherhood. As we talked earlier too, before showing that what we're coming back into is our ancient system. We're not just saying that this is our government. We're actually coming back into our ancient, the way that we used to run things. We know that ancient Egypt was a theocratic monarchy, right? Manly P. Hall talked about that in his book, Freemasonry of the Ancient Egyptians. The government of ancient Egypt was theocratic monarchy. They had the same thing where the priesthoods are the actual governors. All of this is being retaught to us. So this is a portion of it. We're actually coming in and relearning all of this. So this is new for us. So we're starting all over. But yeah, this is all a part of it. So yeah, I would say we do. Is it being said outright like that? No, but that's what we're learning. That's how I see it.
Peace. I accept because I want to say from RV Bay, I got a something like a book that's actually like entitled The Secret Brotherhood of the East, and it has some lessons. So
yeah, I think that was is that the red book? I think it was written by Brother Kirkman Bay. See Kirkman Bay.
I think it is red. I don't have it in front of me, but yeah,
Yeah,
I think it is red.
I've glanced at it before. I mean, I'm sure there's wisdom and insight in there, but I haven't really gone that far with it. I've just looked at it. But even without having that book, I know that this, yeah, we're coming back into it. This is what this actually is. Even though everybody doesn't say that. When you're coming back into the Moorish Science Temple of America, when you're coming into the sacred brotherhood. Doesn't matter if you go into the 8-up chamber, become sheik, it doesn't matter. Once you come in and proclaim, and the people who's here holding to the holy day and all of these things together, you're coming back in. Right? The lessons, the way that we're building on this, you're coming back into the sacred brotherhood. That's what this is all about. And then the way that we're learning, and then learning to look deeper into the message and gain more insight into it. That's what this is all about. And that's also why when you just wearing your member charm and walking around, there's people who will recognize those symbols, and they will recognize you as a brother or sister. All right. And this is like an international thing, just off of having that circle 7, or even the on the other side of it, how it has the Shimtar, I think the Shimtar blade, Skimtar, what Star and Crescent on that. Yeah, well, that's on the 8-up charm, but on the other one too, the member charm just off people just seeing that. They recognize it. And I'm not just talking about people that are Freemasons. So you're already in the sacred brotherhood just by coming back in. I mean, if somebody knows more than me, they can feel free to correct me, but that's from my understanding. Islam.
Islam, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Lewis L. I see your hand up.
Islam. I have to agree with Douglas L. It's an honor to be back with my family because Moorish science is the ancient science. It is the original science. And this is our ancestors' practice, the practice of peace and perfection in your personal life. And the Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood is an excellent read, my brother. It has lessons in there to help me have a better understanding of death and dealing with it on a personal level and understanding the purpose. So in that regard of that book right there, it's an excellent read. But the whole entire practice of Moorish science is infinite. You continue to evolve, and I would suggest read, study. And when you've mastered yourself, go back and study more. That's what the prophet said. So gratitude for the bill, Ohio. I'm just having a wonderful time, my wife and I, and we loving this Moorish science. Islam.
Islam. All right. Let's move forward on 46. In the keys. What did Jesus say that would make you free? Answer is truth. And we all know that the truth is the I, and the I is Allah. Islam, let's build on that one. Are you at the floor?
Islam.
Oh, go ahead, sis.
Praise Allah. Gratitude, brother. I just wanted to say, since we did touch on the chakras, that when we go back, we look at the crown chakra, the attributes, the correlations of the crown chakra, the characteristics is truth. It resonates through thought and the awareness. Islam and the connection to the unlimited source. And that right there lets us know that Jesus was vibrating through his crown chakra. Well, the fully balanced of the whole chakra system, but it comes out through the crown chakra. Islam.
Islam. Off of that just made me think of the stories when they said Jesus was praying and like would pray for like hours and was like bleeding through his head and stuff, through his pores or something like that. And that if he was meditating, that seems like it's like far more. I'm sorry, that's like this might not be exactly what we're talking about, but that seems far more plausible than he's like just praying for like 4 hours, especially now knowing too that he knew about meditation and like and taught and we had time in Hindustan, even though in Kemet we knew about yoga and meditation as well there too, but even more so in Hindustan, they really stayed true to that practice more so. And also with like transfiguring the body. Islam, that's kind of an offshoot, but Islam.
Islam, brother. Great demonstration on that one. So I got two hands up. I got Brother Shaw Bay, then Brother Jackson Bay. Islam.
Islam. This is a deep one because everybody's looking for the truth. So I'm looking at the etymology dictionary of the word truth, and it says, and a noun is a faith, faithfulness, fidelity, loyalty, etc. And that's in the Mercian translation. So I look at that as faith, what you put your faith in, what you put your loyalty in, whether it's good, bad, because truth is neither ought or not, based on the prophet's word, unquote. And the definition of ought, noun number one, says something, anything. Ought, noun number two, nothing, zero. Zero cipher, that's in another definition. So I look at that as I always like knew about the so-called like I'm always into like history, like the ancient history, and I feel like ancient law is how we're supposed to be abiding, because foundation of United States so-called corporation and America was based off of Egypt, and point zero is a part of where we need to tie back or realign back to our ancient forefathers' divine creed. So the truth is what makes you feel at peace or at ease. That's why we have love, truth, and then peace, freedom, and justice. Islam.
Islam. If I may, this is more ill. Just wanted to add to the build on truth. And I don't know if someone's hand was raised. Oh, pardon, Jackson Bay. I didn't see your hand raised. I can go after you if that's cool.
Islam, sis. Nah, spit that. I'll wait. It's cool. Go ahead, spit. You know what I mean? You.
Islam gratitude. My question here is why or how does truth make you free? And in our sense, when we in the state of, like, before me coming into these lessons, and referring to myself as being Black, and it comes with a whole ideology of mental slavery, which I was speaking of earlier, and there was a lack of truth. And we talk about truth is that of the divine law, which is universal law, that truth which does not change nor pass away. So when you understand your true nature, you understand that infinite wisdom that just is, then you are able to free your mind. You're able to unlock those or break those chains in which have been placed upon you, or I guess those blocks which you allowed to be placed. It's like taking your control back, because you now have that truth. I see it like our spiritual defense system. We're able to use truth and our principles to break all those mental chains that have hindered us for so long. Islam.
Islam. So that was a great demonstration on that. And that was right to the point. I also said I was reading something right before Jackson Bay. Just give me 1 second. In the Gospel, Jesus reportedly said, "Know the truth, and the truth will set you free." He uttered this maximum during one of the dark periods of his people's history. Islamism. Jackson Bay, I yield the floor to you.
Islam, praise Allah. Honest to everybody that breathed on this question, these questions, this series. The way I look at it, right, if we just go, right, truth is art. Art means every part of a thing, including the thing itself. So then it goes to art is a lie. So this is a lie. A lie is in all of it, everything, right? You feel me? So like when we talk about Jesus, right? If we read to chapter 15, verse key 17, it says, then Jesus left the wilderness in consciousness of the Holy Breath. And he came into the camps of John and taught. But the chapter 15 is about him mastering the three brains, the heart, the stomach, or the intestines, and the brain, right? All three of those, right? So and he was just in the wilderness meditating. Also aligning the seven chakras, right? Now, when we look at the seven chakras, I believe they constitute the soul of things. And when we go back to chapter 11, right? If you read, I'm gonna read real quick. These forms of life, or let me go back a little bit. These spirits of the triune, no, I apologize. The triune Allah breathed forth and stood seven spirits before his face, and the Hebrews called these seven spirits Elohim, and they who in their boundless power create everything that is and was. And then these spirits of the triune Allah moved upon the face of boundless space, and seven others were, and every other had his form of life, right? And these forms of life were but the thoughts of Allah, and we know that thoughts of Allah can't die, right? They're immortal, right? We learned that from chapter 1. Clothed in the substance of their ether planes. The ether planes, that's the chakras, right? Men call these ether planes protoplast, earth, plant, beast, man, angel, and cherubim, right? But when we go only protoplast, earth, plant, beast, and man fell, right? And also they're all, and on that plane of the manifest, we're all bonded by minerals, right? So if this is the chakra system, my chakra system is based on the protoplast, which I believe when I imagine protoplast, even though it's it's like you look it up, it might not say this definition. I believe protoplast is like the magma, just to align it with the red root chakra or whatever. And then above the magma is the earth, and above the earth is the plants, and then above the plants are the animals or the beast, and then above the beast is man, right? So I'm bringing it all full circle because the truth of the matter is everything is connected, because we have within us all these attributes, you feel me, that constitute the soul. And let me read. It says 20, so I jump down to 26. It says these planes with all their teeming thoughts of Allah are never seen by the eyes of man and flesh. They are composed of substances too fine for fleshy eyes to see, and still they constitute the soul of things. So that's my whole thing. The holy breath is the spirit, right? The spirit inside the soul. So the spirit of Allah, which is the holy breath, right, actuates and defines everything throughout every ether plane, all the way up to the cherubim. You feel me? Even though we can't see them with our fleshy eyes. So this is what I get from, understanding, understanding what's truth, and truth is art, and art is Allah, and understanding how truth and art and Allah coincide is understanding that what inside of you is everything outside of you. Everything that's outside of you is found within you. So Islam.
Praise Allah. Beautiful demonstration from all you wonderful Muslims. I just want to add that when we talk about truth, we are speaking about a higher vibration. And like the sister Morel said, what is the truth for us, Islam? I see that as how we know that the truth for us is that we are not Negroes, Islam, and that just knowing that truth and being able to reconnect to the ancient people that were not called Negroes does set us free from that Negroism that we were placed upon, or that was placed upon us, so that we can follow the teachings of the Christ, the order Christ. Because like the brother Davis L said, Jesus would pray for hours upon hours or meditate, and he would do it so much and so long that he will be bleeding, because we have to remember that our flesh body, our spirit man had to slow down and thicken and become sluggish at will, just so that we could be manifested in this flesh body. So as we are following this path of knowledge of self and this science, we are indeed raising our vibrations so that we could reconnect to the source, to the crown chakra. Because when we meditate at this vibration of thought, we then can receive the full abundance and information from our Father God Allah. And that is sending ripples, and that's moving ethers out the way so that our will be done on this earth plane. Because remember, we have a birthright. Man is Lord of plane may manifest. We lost that birthright, but we are here to regain it back through this knowledge. Islam?
Islam.
Islam. And just to camelback on that a little bit, we must be what we know. And we know that we must be the truth, and the truth is the eye, and that's what we know. And that's what the prophet prepared for us. As well as if we don't, that lower self is playing the fool by half. So we can't do it that way. Islam, that was a great demonstration. Islam. And we can also go to key 47. And that's going right along with what we're building on. What is truth? Truth is I. And I is the closest thing to Allah. I, is the absolute righteousness and the supreme intelligence in the eternal state of being. Islam, I yield the floor and let's build on that one.
Yo, Islam, I just had an epiphany, right? If we're thoughts of Allah, right, the flesh changes not. Because if we go right, 49, can truth change? I don't mean to skip ahead, right? Let's just build, right? Truth cannot change or pass away, right? So the truth of the matter is, man's always going to be here. This physical plane always going to be here. These plants is always going to be here on the physical plane. These rocks, right? These birds and creepy things, right? Right? And men gonna always be here on the physical plane where we can see, because they are just the clothes and the garbs of the manifest that already happened on the soul plane. And the things that are on the soul plane are nothing but the ethers of the spirit plane vibrating not so slow. And even though everything is manifest, right, and this world will end, right, but it won't, because it'll be a time where we won't be in this world. We'll be connected more on the soul plane, where everything's eternal, but everything's reflective of the soul plane. So it's always going to be a higher and lower self. You feel what I'm saying? The whole thing is we have to go up these levels and master them. You feel what I'm saying? So it's always going to animals, and we always going to have this inferior human state. We all have this Negro problem that we have to conquer. You feel what I'm saying? Like it's solvable. It will be solved, right? But it starts within us, right? But it's always here because we have to conquer it. You feel me? Without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength. And how do we develop strength? By exercise of thought, right? And all these thoughts will always be here. You feel me? So Islam, that's just what I was like dwelling on. Hopefully somebody could add to that, you know what I mean? Like for real, because that's how I was thinking. Like if we're just the reflections of the soul ethers, we're just a reflection of this, right? It's like these things, this whole thing, our whole life existence, this is just the play out. It's already been predicted. You feel what I'm saying? Now we just on the soul plane watching ourselves, vibrate and see it. To see that it's a science fair. You feel me? It's an experiment. What's gonna happen if I experience life as Jason? What's going to happen if I experience my
Life is Lloyd and Drew and Ross and Jason and Lewis. You feel it out, and Seymour. You know, that's what this thing is, and that's the truth of the matter about it. Islam is brother. You have got spot on that one. You know, I encompasses the whole of which is, and the whole of reality. Islam. We got two hands up. Louis L. and Brother Shawbay. Louis L, bro.
Islam. I agree with the brother Jackson Bay. I know that we go through this battle with our foe, and we have to conquer the battle. And if we don't, we do it all over again because we live in cycle ages. So if you don't get it right, excuse me, pardon nobody. If you don't get it right, you're going to reincarnate here again with less information than you had when you was here. And you're going to be crying and boo-booing everywhere and have to go through the whole process of learning all over again. You dictate where you end up. So the science, the beauty of this science, the beauty of this life is when we are enlightened and make it practical, then we become perfected in our journey as we unfold. And that's the basis of the Moorish science, and having a reflection of your loved ones, your children. Through your actions, you demonstrate this so they can learn as they observe you in your behavior. As you grow into your perfected state, vibrating at a higher frequency, keeping your chakras aligned. Because believe me, if one of your chakras is out of alignment, then the whole system is out of whack. This is the purpose of us meditating, so we can align ourselves and ascend through our actions and walk. You walk it and you talk it, you talk it and you walk it. You trial and error. You know what I'm saying? If you don't do something right, we'll get it right. Let's get it right and walk in our divinity, in which who we have all of this in our DNA. So as we study and obtain this light, our DNA unravels so we can become the true essence of who we are. So we have to live this life. The science is life. So that's all I have.
Islam, brother, gratitude for that one. You know, that was just what I was saying on Camelback. And, you know, we must be what we know, Islam. And I have Brother Shawbay.
Islam, I just want to, pardon me. Just wanted to say acceptance of truth is kind of like what we have to accept in Allah, because it says what is truth, truth is art is Allah. You know, it's just like simple mathematics. You adding one to the other. You know, if you put 0 on 0, you know, you'll have 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. So therefore, we're in this Moorish divine movement with the 7, Holy Quran. You know what I mean? Circle 7. So now we're able to really, you know, move forward in the art of which Allah is, you know, obviously presented. Islam.
Islam. And now we can also build and go with 48, with the keys of 48. Keys of 48 is, what is I? I is Allah. So within the truth, you get I. Within I, you get Allah. So you get all those. And then we were always saying, we were talking about the magical number 3. Islam, I give the floor to build on that one. Islam.
Islam, bro. I'm make this quick. When you said the unfoldment, right, and the sequence, how it comes is from truth, and then it goes from truth is art, and then art is Allah, and we have to understand like the unfoldment of 3. So the truth, once we understand it, right, the truth unfolds into everything. So now we can see the connectedness of everything because everything's connected, on the plane of manifest and the plane of soul and the plane of spirit, all through the holy breath, right? So we understand that, right? So, I jumped up, but the truth, right, is the holy breath, right? And then it unfolds, and we understand there's everything. And now we can see that if the holy breath is everything, and the holy breath comes from Allah, that everything has Allah within it. Just like we are part in spirit of Allah. You know what I mean? Just like everything is a part in spirit of Allah. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the unfoldment, and that's the knowledge that Jesus came out of the meditation with, you know what I mean? Just understanding himself, that everything is just really, and it all goes back to what we all say all the time. Everything, our situation and circumstances is just a reflection of what's going on within us. And then we just unfold it to Allah with the realization of that. Islam.
Islam.
Gratitude to Islamism, brother, on that demonstration. Now we got Davis L and Sheikish Douglas L. Islam.
Peace. I just want to add to that 3. That's like 3 is like one of the most stable numbers. If you look at the pyramid, I referenced the pyramid being like the strongest shape, which also is a representation of civilization. There was something else I wanted to go off with that pyramid too, but it's escaping me at the moment. But yeah, and then we also have our own 3 as our Trinity with our zodiac as well. But it was something else I want to go there, but I yield the floor.
Islam, brother, you get this the holy breath back. Bring it back on, Islam, sister.
Praise the Lord. I just want to add that art is art and not is not Islam. And we do know, if we go back to chapter 10, we do see that triune, that 3 steps, the 3 steps of wisdom, will, and love that's in between each individual step on that 12-step ladder, Islam. So we know that Allah is all that was and ever will be. And that's why the prophet connected these 3 keys so that we could fully understand the truth that is in Allah and how Allah is our saving power, Islam, because everything that they did to us, they did it through religion. Our sin is by us following behind the gods of Europe. That was not our gods. That was not Allah. Allah is the only way for us, the only way for our salvation, Islam. And by reconnecting us to our ancient forefathers, our ancient lands, our ancient religion, old time religion, is bringing us right back to Allah. And then we know, we talked about the front cover of our Holy Quran, and the Prophet lets us know that Allah is within all of us. So that's bringing us full circle, Islam.
Islam, Sheikish, right on point. I just want to read the contemporary. We can go to 49 with these questions and answers. Our prophet teaches us that Allah, truth, and I are synonymous, and in reality one. I is absolute righteousness and supreme intelligence. It is internal, an external state of being. from which all beings of life form come. It is the ultimate conditioning of all things. So we touch bases on what is I. I is Allah. And I mean, that was a great build on everybody's aspect on that demonstration on that one. If anybody wanted to have anything on that key of 48, they could go in. I was going to go right to 49. If not, Islam, sister, I see your hands up, or was it from earlier?
Pardon me, that was from earlier.
Oh, okay, no problem. Islam, sorry about that. Let's go to 49. Can truth change? Truth cannot change or pass away, because we know from 48 and 47, truth is I. I is Allah. The evermore, everlasting, never will be. So that's everything. And that I mean, that's the creation that will never change. Islam, I yield the floor on that one to build. I see Davis, Islam.
Now, peace. I know I've been going back to the Kabbalion a lot, but here it is again, guys. I mean, I mentioned it already too tonight in the chat, if you check that. But according to the Kabbalion, what we're referring to as Allah is referred to as the All. And there's three things that we have to accept about the All. That's that all there is the All, that nothing exists outside of the All. Since everything is in the mind and subject to the laws that come from creation of the All. That there's nothing else outside of the All, or else the All would not be the All, and that the All is unchangeable, and there's nothing that can exercise change upon the All. And that's right there is what truth is. And it's also referred as the substantial reality behind what we see, that everything is built off of. Islam. I just wanted to add that.
Islam, brother. Gratitude for that demonstration. I got brother Shaw Bay and brother Jackson Bay. Islam.
Islam, just to build off of just creation, what Brother Kobe was demonstrating, the creation that Allah has provided for this whole entire earth, Asiya, everything, every protoplasm with every protoplasm cherubim, everything that is made up in nature is pretty much where we can find a sound understanding or overstanding of Allah, because Allah is everything. So we got to know everything. And as Moors, that's what we do in our priesthood and our missionary work. We uplift everybody just to, just so we're living according to the laws of the universe, the law of the land, and everything else that was divine in creation. Islam.
Islamism. Gratitude again. Brother Jackson Bay.
Islam. And just to come back over what both brothers were saying, when we talk about all, and we understand that all is Allah, that's the higher self. And we understand by understanding Allah is understanding distinction versus separation, which I always tell people separation is the European psychology, while distinction is understanding that I'm just a part of a whole. And in being part of that whole, I am the whole, because when we're talking about holy breath, right? Holy means holy, like together, oneness. You feel me? It all comes back to oneness. And in the truth, right? Truth can't change or pass away. You feel me? Because Allah can't pass away. You feel me? And when we realize that, we are walking or starting to unfold the higher self within us. or within our soul, right? Setting our soul on fire with holy zeal. And just to end it, remembrance of Allah. So remembrance that Allah is within everything is worth more than prayer, but you still gotta pray. Islam.
Islam, brother. Gratitude on that one. I'm actually gonna camel back on you, but I want to let brother Davis L go in before me. Islam.
Peace. I just wanted to add off of that too. We're all here on the process of individualization, so we are to a degree, supposed to exercise, like Jackson Bay said a couple times. Allah experiencing Allah. We're supposed to develop ourselves to return back to Allah's highly developed, individualized spirits. So that's something we're supposed to be trying to do now as well. Islam.
Islam, gratitude for that demonstration as well. Let's look at the contemporary answers on it, Morris. Since truth and I is Allah. Truth cannot change or pass away. For Allah is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Truth is only things that change not. In all of the world, there are two things. The one is truth, the other is falsehood. And brothers and sisters, truth and falsehood strangely mixed. And falsehood is that which seems to not be. Now, truth is I and has no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. That's deep. This truth, which was acknowledged by Jesus over 2,000 years ago, and retrained by Prophet Noble Jew Ali to these contemporary times, as acknowledged by all prophets and sages since time immemorial. Islam, and that was just a deep thing on what the prophet prepared for us as well on the contemporary aspect of it. We could build on that one right before 50. We can close on out. Islam, I yield the floor. I see that got Shaw hand. Islam.
Islam. I just want to go back on, chapter 7, the friendship of Jesus and Lamayas. Jesus explains to the Lamayas the meaning of truth, and module or stanza 3, Jesus said, "Truth is the only thing that changes not. In all the worlds, there are two things. The one is truth, the other falsehood, and falsehood that which seems to be," as Brother Kobe just read. I was just saying that as a reference. I wanted to go back on the truth. Truth is the only thing that changes not. And then we go back on 47, which connects. It just completes. It just brings you in the circle of Allah, really, of how divine truth is through Allah. And yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on that, or camel back on that as well.
Islam, gratitude. Does anybody else want to build or demonstrate before we close out on that key and go to the key 50?
Islam, I did want to add to back on what my sister said earlier about the everlasting gospel. That's what truth brings us back to, the everlasting gospel that goes on and on and on. Islam.
Islam, definitely. And just to finish out, I'll just finish out the other contemporary on that. Since truth is the ultimate reality, permanent, unchanging, and everlasting, whatever is modeled after truth partakes of truth nature and become more permanent and long lasting. Our ancient civilizations, for example, lasted and thrived for thousands of years because they are modeled after the principles of truth. If we model our marriages, friendships, family relations, and international dealings after the principles of truth, they will too be long lasting and forever beautiful. Now, when the prophet prepared that to me, that is very, very deep because you are then walking into the truth, into Allah. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to walk and strive to do. And we will do that as more Islam. Let's go to key 50. What other name do we give to truth? And that is the holy breath. I have Jackson Bay. Let's go ahead and yield the floor. Let's go ahead and build on this one.
Islam, Muslim, you already know. When Shaw Bay had went to chapter 7, I'm glad he did because we actually really need to understand that. And let's understand, because understanding truth is understanding ourselves, the state, right? The state of man. So I've read this: man, which is mind, which man is the breath made flesh. So truth and falsehood are conjoined in him, and they strive, and naught goes down, and man as truth abides. Okay, but we understand that truth, right? Another name we give for this truth is holy breath, right? So which is said in key 10 of chapter 7, the holy breath is truth, and it is that which was and is and evermore shall be, and it can not change or pass away, right? So understanding our true nature, this is us. Our true nature is being the breath, the truth. You feel me? So that's part of us, part of our human state, because the falsehood is conjoined in us, which we have to constantly struggle, and we eventually do subdue and do operate, and then while reading this, it also made me think about what truth, since truth can't pass away, the things that can't pass away, we control. And the reason why we have to control our situation, right, is right here when he's explaining force. Force is the will of Allah and is omnipotent, and power is the will and manifest directed by breath. So basically what this says to me, when we realize the truth within ourselves, right, we start to direct the will of Allah, because it says, hold on, these ethers cause these powers to be. It's talking about power, and thought of Elohim, of angel and man, and other thinking thing directs the force. When it is done, its work, the power is no more. When it has done its work, the power is no more, right? So just like, it's power in having these bodies upon the physical plane, but the truth is the breath, once we align with it, it's really directing it, and once it's done, it's done. So that, that's what chapter 50 and that's what key 50 and Brother Shaw bringing chapter 7 brought to my mind, just understanding that, and understand that another, that's our nature. Our true nature is to direct the will of Allah. You feel me? Well, we're the vice regents of Allah, so we extend it. We're exercising His will on the plane of manifest and the plane of soul, on His behalf. So
Islam, brother, great demonstration. And you already said it when you said the 50. 0 is a placeholder. The 5 and the 7 made the 12 on the chapter. And we were going from the 12 to 30 to 6, all of that. Great demonstration, brother.
Islam. If I could go back to our last meeting, the brother broke down cherubim and seraphim. That reminded me, because one was to direct, Islam was to direct that force, and that reminded me, the truth don't change, and the cherubim and seraphim are angels. And who are the Asiatics? The Asiatics are angels, and that's us. And we are to return back to this truth so that we could direct, our lower selves, so that we could rise up to be who we truly are. Because like Brother Colbey was reading a few minutes ago, when we live out these truths and the principles of truth, we will become successful, and our success will be everlasting. Islam.
Islamism. Gratitude, sister. Anybody else want to build in?
Islam, this is Morel. When I think about when Allah breathes forth or breathes forth the breath into the breath of life, think of the breath of life and reference to the truth. When we think about us going from a dead state of the term black to enlightened, I see this demonstration of the holy breath being breath forth into us and manifesting itself. And I also want to mention how powerful our breath is, or some call prana. And this breath, one says to focus on your breathing when you're meditating, because this holy breath that was breath in us allows us to align ourselves, and it even allows our bodies to heal themselves. If anyone is familiar with breatharians, those who are able to tap into their, in the Holy Quran of the More Science Symbol of America, when it speaks of when we used to eat from the rate of our atmosphere, of our ether plane, from my understanding, this is the breath, because we're able to sustain ourselves without water or food through breathing correctly. And this is so powerful to me, because in looking more into breatharianism, it truly took me to the understanding of our divine nature, which is spirit first. So praise Allah for that understanding.
Islam, can we back up the sister what you said? When I meditate upon what they call the throat chakra, I call it the etheric plane of man. I envision, because it's an etheric plane of man, I envision myself sitting like on a dock where all I see is the blue of the sky and the blue of the water, right? That's part of what makes me, the reason I thought of that, and what you had thought with the breatharian, Jesus in the scriptures, he says, in order to return to the Father, you must be of spirit and water, right? And understand that the throat chakra is the etheric plane of man. Like I definitely agree with you, because that's how we was eating before we came to the garden, and God said, eat of the trees, in the physical. But prior to that, when we aligned to Circle 7 Quran, all we needed was water and air, or and not, if not water, at least just air. So Islam, I definitely just want to piggyback off that, camelback off that part.
Islam.
Yep.
Praise Allah for both of those demonstrations. We have a deeper understanding just by this bill right here, how the process of the holy breath, just the way that we accept the holy breath, is indeed a form of our resurrection on this plane. Islam.
Islam.
And Islam on key 50. What other names do we give to truth, the holy breath? The closing reading on the contemporary closing reading of the statement above reveals that breath and the content means spirit, what sister was saying earlier as well, and heaven, and this is content means God. Thus, the phrase breath of heaven means the spirit of God. Further proof that breath means the spirit of God is the compromise our prophet makes between. And it also says the breath, I'm not gonna read all of it, the breath of the spirit man as the breath of heaven saith unto the waters of the deep. So let the spirit, O man, acculate and direct thy flesh. Clearly then, breath in the content means spirit. Thus the holy breath is none other than the very spirit of Allah. Islamism. If anybody wanted to build to that, we can. If not, we can go into the closing. I see Brother Jackson Bay. Is that your hand up from earlier, or is it
Nah, this is my last closing thing, because when it goes back to chapter 1, it says our final things when the garbage slow, when we come out the garbage soul, we're gonna unfold into the oneness of Allah through the holy breath, right? So why do we go through so many lessons, right, and going through so many incarnations into the plane of manifest is to learn things, right? Because to have a better understanding of things, you can love things better. And Allah is love. Allah is also the holy breath, right? The holy breath is the spirit of Allah. So how can you really help? Because the holy breath actuates and directs everything in the reality on the plane of manifest and the plane of soul. So how can we really, how can we really help everybody? Because the holy breath breathes in the lungs of the rich and the poor, the good and the evil. But how can we understand and truly help people until we have experienced these things, through reincarnation and through the manifestation and through the soul plane and mastering the different planes of our own chakras in any age. So that's why, when we unfold into the truth, we unfold the truth within us, right? Which truth or Allah, we finally unfold into the holy breath. We become a service of man. You feel me? Because vanity is the highest sin, and caring too much about what we doing when we supposed to be helping everybody, like the holy breath helps everybody. That's just what I thought about chapter 50. I mean, not chapter, I keep on saying chapter. Key 50. Just that's our final purpose when it all said and done. And if that's our final purpose, maybe if we start, exercising, charity, benevolence, just to not even just those tools, but I'd say charity, because charity is not just about giving money, it's about tolerating other people. The prophet Buddha, I think one of his sayings is on love is, if you like a plant, you pluck it and you take it home and you put it in water and eventually it dies. But if you love it, you admire it and you let it be how it is. You feel me? And the holy breath loves everybody for who it is, because it gives breath to everything, so Islam.
Islam, bro? That was a great demonstration. I actually read that as well. As far as like, if you love something, you would just allow it to grow versus plucking it. So that was a great demonstration. And I do want to give gratitude to everybody just for allowing me to be able to chair the meeting. I see we got one more hand. We got Louis L. Islam.
Islam, this is more ill. I just wanted to add a few things to the brother. And as he was demonstrating, I thought of as man's seed unfolds, his God unfolds. Islam. And second, you're speaking about charity, and when man honors man, he honors Allah. When man serves man, he serves Allah. Islam.
Islam.
Peace.
Islam, sister, that was spot on. Does anybody else have anything to build, Islam, on Key 50? Okay. Now, so without further ado, we'll be going into the closing of the meeting. Brother Seymour Bay, can you read the Divine Constitution and bylaw?
Islam, Brother Kobe, Islam. First, I rise and give praise to the Most High, Father God Allah. I give honors to His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and to the forerunner to the prophet, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Give honors to the Supreme Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Brother Keith Dandridge L., to all the members of the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and to all you faithfuls on the call. Islam. A divine warning by the Prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to the National Constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to that state of mind, to their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law-abiders and receive their divine right as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish Divine National Movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone. They will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they're glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light. Money doesn't make the man. It is the free national standards and power that makes a man and a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone, and without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I'm hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government. I'm depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States of America. I love my people, and I desire their unity and mine back to their own free national and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they place their trust upon issue and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro deludes in the Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word colored deludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizen of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendments brought the North and the South in unit, placing the Southerners who were at that time without power with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was enforced since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. So there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest and civilized, prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens and my people in this government, the worst is yet to come, because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people, and this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do herein believe that this administration of the government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin, which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way, and without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in the present condition of their endeavorment in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they have fought the Southerner for all these great misuses, but I have traveled in the South and I have examined the conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things which bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I am hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into marvelous light. From the prophet, Islam, Islam, Islamism. Peace.
Islam, Islam, Islamism. Gratitude, brother, gratitude. We are going to go to the closing prayer. If we all can stand up again, we all can stand up, face the east for the closing prayer. You do not have to repeat after me on this closing prayer. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefather, divine creed and principles. We ask this in the holy name of the seven Elohim. Amen.
Amen.
And gratitude and thank everybody again for allowing me to share this. Islamism was a great bill.
Islam.
Gratitude. Thank you all for coming on here. Thank you everyone for demonstrating, for adding to the build, and gratitude, Brother Kobe, for chairing the meeting. Peace and love.
Islam.
Peace and love. Peace and love, family.
Peace
Peace
and
and
love,
love,
family.
love,
Islam.
Shout out to Texas for coming through.
Islam, Texas. Islamism, Texas.
Praise Allah for the bill.
Peace and love, y'all. Great bit, as they say.